this is Pomona in the pit area. And you can see way off in the distance those, I don't know, cypress trees or whatever they are. I mean, there's poles, but then there's also those cypress trees. And the property is just huge, and here's just a few people, so this would be a Sunday afternoon kind of event. That's Bob Skinner in the white over here. This is Jimmy Crosser's 59 Ford Ranchero. This is myself walking away.
Young Mike Sorokin.
Young Mike Sorokin packing the parachute.
Which was typically the driver's job back then. Because if the parachute didn't open, he only had himself to blame.
Yeah, every team was different, but we decided early on that the driver takes care of the parachute because it takes care of him. And on some teams, they wouldn't let the driver wasn't allowed to do it. And, I mean, come on, Anyway, so by this time we've got the Jerry Bailey scoop. We've still got the idler pulley on the blower bell. Still has a plexiglass windshield. You can see that the cross leaf spring, how nice that came out. It was all chromed. And
the vitamin containers clearly visible.
The fuel tank made out of the 2 vitamin containers, and you can see where there's a flat plate welded over where the 2 halves came together, and the bone was right there.
I was just commenting on those gorgeous front wheels and the width of the rim section, how it's wider compared to other cars of the time. And you had just mentioned that you laced up wheels for a few cars.
Yes, I made a bunch of dragster wheels. I had worked at this motorcycle, the very first Honda dealership they had in Santa Monica, which was just on the side of a gas station. And the gas station didn't even pump gas anymore. It was just a defunct gas station. And over in the tin building that normally would have sold the tires or something at the gas station was this new Honda dealer and motorcycles, right? This was before they had Honda cars, in the U.S. anyway. And so I worked there, and the head mechanic raced flat track. He was the owner. He didn't ride the bike. He owned it, operated the bikes, right? Had named star kind of flat track races, and very, very good guy, talented. Anyway, so there, one of the jobs was just fixing all the wadded up stuff that came in. And so I always enjoyed fixing the wheels, put new rims on, true them, straighten them, that kind of stuff. So I did lots of that. And so somehow or another, some of the local guys, when they were building dragsters, needed some front wheels. And I said, I'll make you some. And these chrome hubs were sold at the Triumph dealer in Venice, and they were for flat track racing where they didn't have a front brake, just a spool, real nice looking. And then I'd make that's a Corvair grease cap. It's welded, brazed onto the nut from that normally went in that end. And Triumph spokes, and the rims were just aftermarket rims that you could buy. These are Pirelli tires. But anyway, I made a bunch of wheels. Some people wanted the Barani aluminum kind of rims, but you had to drill the holes. So I made up a fixture, and this is sort of an Okie deal. Hey, no offense to you Okies. But anyway, just a homemade little drill fixture to drill the Barani rims. I made rims for Adams and Stewart, Moody and Davis, the Screamaliner, I don't know, a number of them.
And it was just like a little side job venture you had to raise a few bucks.
Yeah, I made some just like this for the freight train. When it had, before they went to Chryslers, then they had to go to those mag spoke wheels because the motors were so heavy. But before that, when they had 2 Chevys, had that same exact wheel, same tire, same everything. I probably made $20. It was more just something fun to do. And anyway, the aesthetics, most wheels are just offensive to me. And I just always had a certain look in my head that.
Oh,
that's what-
the proportions are perfect.
Yeah, and then I evolved that into the wheels that are on the front of Tom Hanna's blue, now red car. That was I just kept evolving, you know.
But on Hannah's car, you also made the hubs, correct?
Yeah,
You
because
made everything.
yeah, we had to kind of keep going. The hub needed to go the next step. And those wheels were made for the Surf 2 car, and then they ended up on Hannah's car. But those were the ones that are on Hannah's car are the best ones I ever made. And Hannah liked the steel rim look, a wider steel rim. And these are 18-inch too. Later they got to go using 17-inch, and they were really scooter tires. And they're rated for 60 miles an hour. God, remember all the tires coming right off? They grow right off the rim and just
Walk
leave.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, they just leave. And then later it got worse. They were using Schwinn bicycle
Stingray tires.
Stingray tires, yeah.
Yeah.
On some of the unblown,
Yeah.
what do you call them? Yeah, junior fuelers, yeah.
The sparkle of the spokes was
And these-
one of the things that attracted me to those cars.
That is one of my earliest memories. I'm actually going to look into the camera for this one. I don't know, 7 years old. We're at Lions Drag Strip, and they had the rollers in place then, but it must have been some special event, or the rollers were broken, and they were pushing off from the top end. And so they're pushing off from the top end, and they come down through the starting line, and Lions, the lighting was very harsh. It was like these sodium industrial streetlights or something. And the cars would push off, and they would kind of go into the darkness behind the starting line, but you could still see with these industrial lights, and the cars would crisscross, and the spokes would just be twinkling. And it was the most magical thing. It's so burned into my memories. And someone on the tower side would always almost hit the fence and have to get pulled back and straightened out because you couldn't make that loop. But I'll never forget that twinkle of the spokes. It's something that's really, really missed in today's drag racing.
And just to add a little detail, all the wheels that I made all used butted spokes. And a butted spoke it's bigger where it turns and goes through the hole in the hub, comes out, and then it necks down to a skinnier one. That's what you want for the look. So every wheel I ever made had butted spokes. Or if you looked at any of the cheesy ones, they're the same diameter. Bad form. Bad form.
got into drag race. He had a Willys, like a 34 Willys.
Yes, he did.
An
Correct.
injected Chevy.
Yes.
And they ran that for a while. And
Yes.
then he built a injected dragster.
Right.
He ran that.
Yes.
I've got pictures of it.
Yes.
And then he got the surfer deal.
Yeah. Now the question I have, because here's a you might be able to answer this question after all these years. Is Mike started out driving the car initially, the surfer car, and then he and Jimmy Crosser had a problem.
Yeah.
And then he left, and he left for about 6 months.
Right.
The question we have is, we don't see any evidence of him driving any other dragsters
He
at
had
that
junior
time.
fuel car.
He had that junior fuel car, so he just kept driving that.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months later,
He's back
when
in the
Crosser left, Sorokin came back,
Right.
and then the history really took off.
Okay, all the time I was racing, I raced Mike one time at Ramona.
Right?
I was driving the NW root beer car
You were the guy in the other lane. Oh my God, this is gorgeous. Okay.
with the Hemi Ford in it.
Yes. Yes.
And Mike and me used to joke with each other, so I pulled some shit on the starting line.
Oh no, what did you do?
When I staged, I revved that sucker up to about 8,000 RPM, and he said he couldn't hear his motor,
Yes.
and I left on him, and they never caught me.
Oh,
So I beat him one time.
yes.
The number after that, he
Yeah.
always blew my doors off.
Yeah, right.
But we go back, well, all through Venice High and
Yeah.
street racing, and I miss Mike. We had a lot of fun together.
And that's another really important point to mention, is that once again we're bringing up somebody's name that's been gone for many years,
Right.
but was highly respected, a really good guy, and we're talking about him in 2016, which
Well,
is
Mike and
priceless.
me were like this through school,
Yeah,
and then just after school, and then he used to go over to John Peters. And
Yeah,
used to hang
right.
around. The whole bunch of us in that area were all racers.
right.
Go up to Ingles with Peters and Moody
Yep.
and all them guys.
Yep,
And old Jack Engel was a super neat guy.
yeah,
And the days back then were fantastic. So,
yes.
I mean, I really miss them. Sorry, I'm getting old, but that's the way life is, right?
Well, you're not a day older than we were then, up here and in your heart, and that's
Yeah.
what counts. So
we're still racing.
yes, thank you very much. I
Cool,
really
man.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
You're the best.